Go ahead. So this is for Pure Logix. That's the name of the company, right? Pure Logix. Yeah, with the X. I remember that. And Daniel, Robert, why don't you mute yourself? I'll mute myself too. And Daniel, why don't you take it away? Let's go through this.
All right. You just want me to read it?
Yeah, title it down, and then we'll assess it.
Front-end engineer at Pure Logix. Hiring in New York City, 1 to 10 employees. That's their company size. So job description. This engineer will be the inaugural member of the Pure Logix front-end team, maintaining and upgrading both client and internal tools. As time progresses and our product offerings expand, the front-end team will be involved in a variety of projects requiring flexible thinking and creative design. Responsibilities will include maintain and implement our front-end interfaces, conduct design and code reviews, work with product strategists, and account managers to define technological deliverables and timelines, write proper documentation as necessary. Knowledge of user experience methodologies is a plus. Knowledge, expertise, and willingness to work on any part of the stack is a significant plus. Compensation: 70 to 130 grand salary and 0.1 to 1% equity. So that's about it. I just think that's a bit too broad. A front-end engineer should just be implementing front-end design and code for the front end. And it kind of scares me when they say that it should mix into the full stack. But I do agree that they should maintain and implement our front-end interfaces. I do agree that they should conduct design and code reviews, but I don't think there's a point in them reviewing any code that's not on the front end. Now, working with product strategists and account managers to define technological deliverables and timelines, that doesn't seem right for a front-end engineer. Maybe they should be working with people like that to get more insight on the market, as well as what users may be looking for in a product and how they can minimize user interaction with the app but still get maximum maximum functionality into as little UI as they can. That makes sense to me. Documentation. I mean, every developer should document. Now, knowledge of user experience methodologies is a plus. That seems kind of like a joke to me, because if you're applying as a front-end engineer, that should be just a requirement. No questions asked. I don't know why they'd say that's a plus. Now, working on any part of the stack, they're not a full stack developer if they're a front-end engineer. I don't think that sounds like a great idea. And that's really how I feel about this. I just feel like they're not really, for the title for that job, it's a lot more than what it should be.
I see. So what are they doing? What do you believe that they are doing right? Because they're definitely doing a lot of things right. Because out of the actually, let's let Robert speak. So Robert, you still there?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, man. Why don't you speak about? So what we'll do is about what they'll improve upon, and then afterwards we'll do a round of what they got right. Why don't you go ahead and go? What can they improve upon, Robert?
See, so the responsibilities will be maintaining and implement front-end interfaces, conduct design and code reviews, work with product strategists and account managers to define technological deliverables and timelines, write proper documentation as necessary, knowledge of user experience methodologies is a plus, knowledge, expertise, and willingness to work in any part of the stack is a significant plus. So I'll start with, I kind of agree with Daniel. A front end engineer, like they're literally being put on the full stack, so like they have to know everything, and like it's kind of working behind front end. So like why not have a front end developer be just a front end developer? Like, I mean, isn't that what they're meant to do? Like, it just seems like there's so many moving parts to this job. Um, that's my opinion, at least.
Interesting. Yeah, where I can improve upon is or where I think that they can improve upon is let's see here, maintain and implement our front end. Well, actually, yeah, right. So here's one thing, like, so I conduct interviews like all the time, technological interviews, and of course I've been in a ton. And one of the thing when I really became a great interviewer and a great interviewee is when at the very end allowing the person who's being interviewed to be able to ask questions about the business and the people who are behind the business. So like when I'm the interviewer, I ask them, "Do you have any questions for us?" You know what I mean? Did that with Sensible. Interviewed a guy that was coming out of Google that wanted to do some algorithms for Sensible and Go, and a couple of other people, even down to the front end and the design people. And then when I'm the interviewee, then I'll ask a question, and I always ask the same question too. And they all and usually it catches them off guard a little bit, puts them on their heels, and that's a great thing because that's what you're doing. That's what you're getting done to you while you're being interviewed. And I always ask, every company, no company is perfect. What would you improve upon in this company? What's the one thing that if you had control of the company, which usually they don't, the person that's being interviewed, what would you change about the company to make it better? Because no company's perfect, right? And of course they're like, yeah, because who's going to say their company's perfect? Then they really start thinking, and they'll say that's a good question. And when someone says that's a good question, that means that they don't know the answer. They're going to try to think about it. And that's usually whenever you don't know an answer to something, you say that's a good question, and that buys you time to think. So in this one, it's like they're saying what Pure Logix wants, but they don't really describe what Pure Logix is.
You're right. That's something I didn't even catch on to. Like you have to at first like explain what you are and like what you'll need. I guess like they don't even like I don't
Hold
pure
on,
logic. What
hold
even?
on, they do.
What'd you say, Daniel?
That they do say what they do.
Oh, so then we got to read better. Where is that at? Well, how come I didn't see that?
Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
notice. You can scroll down.
oh, I see. Interesting. With Pure Logix, so Robert, why don't you go ahead and read that with the product?
With Pure Logix, we've created a comprehensive digital media platform that helps advertisers and marketers reach, measure, and activate the underserved audience of 130 million torrent users worldwide. Beginning now and only with Pure Logix, marketers can drive improved campaign performance, lift business results across any desired outcome, and re-engage these customers whom we're declaring are at the forefront of the content sharing economy.
Wait, are they trying to add advertising to the torrent um, community? Is that what this is?
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that
I don't
question,
understand.
but I'll bet you, I bet the farm to you, man, and I'll have the answer to you. Maybe let's go to their website and see what their marketing copy says on the page. Because with those graphs, with those images and graphs, we as developers can assess what they're really doing. Not to say that any business is like deceptive, but the marketing is one side, and then what's really going on behind the wizard behind the curtains the other side.
Yeah, I honestly don't think torrent data is really much of a part of advertising these days. I don't know. Seems to be what they're trying to do. Uh, this seems like a lot for you said their development isn't that great.
Well, I didn't say it isn't that great. What I did say is that um, both the I think you all are taking stuff away from yourself. I said that both of you on the call, you Daniel and you Robert, and really each one of you, to be honest with you, has a, a not I wouldn't say higher because it's not a level to it, but has a more vast skill set like just knowing more about different things and how to build things in different ways than the current development team, which consists of one person. And there's
Whoa.
there's two of you, right? Well,
Yeah.
currently, right now, it's not to say they're not working with other people and such, but usually when you start off, like so, when I founded Subledger with Tom Robert, I was the technical co-founder. Being a person that knows technology and the business side early on in the project, that's like a unicorn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why I appreciate both of you guys, because you guys are really smart with the development and the code, but you understand business too, and that's critical because you're very valuable and like you increase your worth by orders of magnitude. Now here's the thing: you want to build cool shit, but it's like you have to deal with the business too. So it's not to say that your skills aren't good. It's just at the end of the day, there's only 24 hours in it. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not. I'm not saying that they don't have a good technology team, but also on the fact of the matter, you guys are geniuses to me, both of you guys on the line, and so it's that you have that competency and skill set to really focus in on areas to whereas other people are kind of torn. They're split between doing this, that, and the third, not even knowing if they're building the right architecture or not. But you can you got to keep moving forward and stuff like that.
Awesome.
So what do we? So now let's look at the graphs. What do we believe from the graphs? What's going on here?
Let's see. I can't read that.
Maybe I'm thinking go back to the graph for the one that Daniel was clicking on before, where it was like showing United States of America with shades of blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, this doesn't really convey what we are looking at.
I see.
Yeah, this is terrible. Um, okay, so something about hip hop metrics. I'm going to make an inference that this is a graph containing the downloads of a particular artist.
Right, possibly linked to, and I'm sure with any type of advertising there has to be some sort of linking. So linking meaning, we think recommendation system.
Seems to be somewhat of a heat map of where most things are being downloaded. I like to see how over here
Oh.
it seems they block it all out of their countries. Interesting. This really does need some. It doesn't explain enough though. We shouldn't be. We should be presented with information. We shouldn't be trying to figure out what something means.
Right, you're right.
Um, this is kind of pointless. It seems to me like someone developed an app, put it on the App Store, and took screenshots of their application, but didn't say which each one did.
Well, with the value, so and from a business perspective, that would be like your value add, your value proposition. So there's your value add, which typically is like an addendum to some value. So think like impulse buy. So that's like the magazines at the checkout counter at the grocery store. And then there's the value proposition, which is like you don't have any groceries. You want to go get some food, so you got to walk through the front door of the grocery store, and the goal is for you to check out and give them money for food.
Uh-huh.
So I get what you're saying there totally with that. Robert, what do you think these graphs are portraying, and what really are they portraying?
I can't really read it. It's really blurry, but
What's the bar graph?
bar graph.
No, that's a line graph, but what's a bar graph?
Oh,
Yeah, that's a shaded line graph, the one that was previous. It's just spiking. There's a lot of volatility in that chart.
More data aggregation.
so I'll read through this. So torrent data aggregation. This is what they do. Through our proprietary technology, we track nearly every global torrent transaction.
Wow.
That is pretty cool. That is our company right there.
Well, done. TLDR. You know what TLDR is, Daniel? Yeah, look it up. TLDR. You got to know that if we you got to know that for the line of work we do. I love this one. You ready for this one, Robert?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Too long didn't read. Like when someone says that, I just think of it as TMI. I know what exactly stand for.
Exactly, exactly, man. So, so that's good. So, what do you think that's a cool idea?
That's awesome. Yeah, I like this.
Nice. So let's go
So
back. What did you say? I cut you off.
it's good.
Let's go back to the listing for the job request. Yeah, we got to name this thing before we get off this line. Like, I know it's not a job listing because there's not a list. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
job listing for Angel.co. Yep, you're right. It's a job listing for Angel.co, but not for PJ. Um, so what is this thing, guys? What is this a I don't know, job request? Well, that doesn't make sense. It sounds like an employee would make a job request.
Hold on. Um, um,
Well, I think maybe we were overthinking it, right, Robert? What if it's just job?
yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So let's go over it.
No,
Let's get the brass What'd you say?
it's just a job, simply. Just a job, simply.
Just a job. See, Robert, I still overthink it, man. So let's get the brass tacks, fellas. Let's get down to what's up with that salary though. What do
I
we
mean,
think
that
about
salary.
that?
I mean, that salary. Pretty low.
What'd you say?
I think it's. I mean, it's all right, but maybe that's all they can offer.
You don't think what? Or you think what?
Maybe that's all they can offer right now.
That's true. You're right. Because, I mean, let's be real, guys. Like, even with Sneakyhead, man, if it was up to me, Daniel and Robert, Christopher, like, to me, like, I've already pumped you guys up as, like, these are the guys to look out for right here. And, they need six figures or more, period. Like, it's just got to happen because of the amount that they would bring to a project. Just so you know what's being said behind your back, guys.
Thank you, man.
To me, it'd be even more. Heck, man, what does it take to be those companies like Google, where it's like top guys there, they're making seven figures a year? Hey, ask Martin Investments, man. They know all about that game.
Yeah, man.
Philip will tell you. So basically, that job. Oh, so what are you doing, Robert? I think are you looking at others and trying to do a comparative analysis, or what's going on here?
I'm just screen right now. Not really anything.
Right.
What do you say?
So guys, the interesting thing if you go back to the job, when I saw this, I was like, this is one job listing. I was talking with one of the guys that works on the project, Alejandro, and he said, one of the things I told him that it's got to get across that I tell any company like that starting off lean. Why is it, guys, that people for some reason think that, so they make decisions, right? They'll get married or go to school somewhere, or like where they're putting their physical body. That there's just a decision, right? Because my mom's lived here for X amount of years. That's why I'm here. Why do people always assume that the best talent for the project they're working on must live in the same city as them?
It's very true. Because it kind of does. Well, not necessarily, actually.
So what winds up happening then is like they the world is more flat, and if you use technology, you actually can over communicate. So like even look at all of us in Slack, man. Like we're all over the world, and we have no problem communicating with with each other, right?
Yeah.
On multiple projects. I mean, geez, like
if you can handle communication, like it's fine. But like as long as communication is not a problem, you can do like a long distance project. Right? As long as you in Slack.
Right. You're right. And so like what I told Alejandro is that usually companies like that don't realize that it's not a communication problem with the remote people. What how we say, Robert, the key to communication is understanding, being able to hear what's not being said.
Yeah.
and, that, and that's free jewelry. And what's not being said is they have communication issues internally with the people who are in the same office.
Really?
Yeah, that's why. Oh, I don't want to have somebody out there that I can't, reach, and just, we don't know where they are, they disappear. That's not true. It's just you have people internally who you can't even do that with.
I understand. I see.
So they think it gets exacerbated externally. Now, when you explain your mind and your business and say, well, I work for this company, Assistly, that is a help. It's like think like a Trello system, like a help desk manager, even. Like a Trello system for help desk managers, and they hired me to do the integration into Salesforce. I did the integration in 3 months, and like 2 months after that, they were acquired by Salesforce for $16.5 million.
Wow.
And now they're called Desk.com. I didn't see any of that scroll, so we gotta. That's why we're doing our own thing. You know what I mean? I learned my lesson. Might as well start off and have something that you can take ownership of.
Yeah.
But
I'm looking at it now. Like that's a very big website.
yes, absolutely. So they had developers all over the world, in Australia and Singapore and everything. And the owner was a little bit, had that insecurity. But one day he woke up and he was like, damn, I woke up and they're still like, it's like the company is open 24 hours, 7 days a week, because everybody's in different time zones.
Yep.
So there's stuff being cranked out like 24/7. So once they realize and say, well, wait a minute, what if the smartest person to work on this is maybe like, 50 miles away? What if they're 2 states away? What if they're like in Australia? How can we really build things and communicate and get things across? And it really is a communication platforms and stuff like that. So, that being said, like, this is one job, but I was like, why? How are they assuming that only one person can handle this? Daniel brought that point up. What if this is actually multiple positions? Then from the business bottom line, you're like, oh, well, we don't have the money for 2 salaries. Well, it's like, well, what if it's really not that complex of a job? It's really 2 micro jobs, and you just cut it in half down to like $165,000 per person. Maybe they can't work on it 40 hours a week, but they can work on it, 3-4 hours a day. As long as you let them get the work done, it doesn't matter if they do an hour in the evening, hour in the middle of the day, hour in the morning. All wake up in the morning and do a half a day and work on it, get it done, and be done with the rest of the day kind of situation. Then things get a lot more flexible, because then they can like work within their budget even better. Maybe to have someone in house it's $130K, but to have a couple of people somewhere else it's like $110K. And they split 55 each, things like that, and you really get the project done. You know what I mean? So. Is this something that, or I guess the next thing is, what did they do right? I think what they did right was like have code reviews and conduct design, and
as long as code reviews improve their stack.
Yeah, that's essential. It's anything like.
Oh, dude,
you gotta have others look at your code. I've noticed that like. Daniel, you're echoing, I think.
I'm not talking. I'm talking.
Well, I'm echoing. Okay. So what I've noticed from experiences of like other people by pairing with them, they pretty much like bounce ideas like to me. Like, so like I'll have one idea and they'll kind of expand on that or tell me what I'm doing right or wrong. Like that's kind of essential because like. The way we think, like, it's just, like, we have so many diverse thoughts going, like, through different people, like, so if I pair with Rashawn, like, he'll give me input on something I may be doing wrong, so, like, code reviews are essential to any project or even anything, like, outside of code. It's always good to have another person there to look out for you, and, look over your shit, like.
Code review also means that you have to understand all the other stacks, which might be difficult if you're a front-end developer. I think
that's true, and that's why you learn. What'd you say, Daniel?
Code reviews should only go so far. I don't think you should have a front-end engineer with maybe 5 years of front-end experience, but nothing with their PHP backend, I don't think they should be doing code reviews for that. I think they should be doing code reviews within kind of their ecosystem.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely correct about that. And you, Daniel, just helped me solve a problem that I've had in my head for years, and you just helped me figure it out, Daniel. And it's because, say you have a team and you have a front end and a back end and things like that, and two people are working on different concerns. They'll, like, so with Python, like Philip, Robert, and Katie are working on the Python app with Vinegar for the financial application, and I'm doing code reviews, and I didn't know nothing about Python, and so it drops me into a space where you're uncomfortable, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but then it's like it's difficult to contribute. But then when I realized if you have like certain patterns and practices, like, you know, Robert, like, you know, the code style and how you develop, not necessarily the language, then you can be like, oh, this is, you're testing Ruby the same way you test in JavaScript.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
The same way you build an object in Python, which is an interpreted language, is the same way you construct an object in Java. The syntax is different. One's a tightly casted system, and another one is interpreted. But still, like, how object-oriented programming and functional programming haven't changed in 40 years.
Yeah.
And so basically, guys, with this, let's get to the what are they doing right. That's what as far as with the code reviews and such, I do say, Daniel, that it also, the best part, the plus side of the uncomfortableness and feeling is then you start learning. So now my Python chops are up there, Robert, believe it or not. I haven't written a bunch, but I definitely can understand what's going on there.
Yeah.
Think about with the PHP. Does Daniel know about the PHP story when I was like, you write more PHP than me, man?
Yeah. Oh my God. I've never told him about this. But Tom was like, Tom, can you mute your mic?
Okay.
So, like, remember that night when I got accepted into DCXP? Remember that?
Yeah.
Pretty much that's like same night Rashawn paired with me and he was teaching me MySQL and PHP. I was still on cPanel and shit. So anyways, like he was talking to me and he's like, so believe it or not, you've probably written more PHP lines of PHP than I ever have in my life. I just didn't really understand that because I thought PHP was like, you know, like the gold pot of web development. Like I thought that's what everybody had to know. Like
Yeah.
just like that, I thought that's where web development was at. But apparently, like Rashawn was like all into, you know, Node, Ruby, and like other languages that are much more efficient. Like
Yeah.
I didn't understand that.
But you don't know what you don't know, and I'm really good. I'm a really good developer to the point where I stopped counting how many languages that I know. I can just look at any code and figure out what's going on and be able to contribute a little bit. But I definitely can take someone who knows the syntax and, you know, really contribute with their ideas. So that's what I meant, Daniel, when I said, you know, I don't know about that package you're talking about with Java, because Java's got like the package ecosystem with Java is like, come on, guys, it's like World of Warcraft land. You know what I mean? There's everything in there, but I can contribute by, like, you know, doing code reviews with you, Daniel. So just throwing that out there. We definitely can pair up on some stuff for sure.
Yeah.
So let's. What do you think that? So I think that they're doing that with having the code reviews. That's critically important, like you said, Robert. Daniel, why don't you say what they do good? Because I think we said where they can improve, and then Robert, you do that, and then we'll be pretty much wrap it up.
All right. So I think that. Hold on, I'm gonna turn my volume off.
But let me turn my volume off too.
I do think that they made a smart decision in the sense that they put a job up for a back-end API engineer and a front-end engineer. That is a good idea. There should be different jobs. But I think front-end engineer, though it's super broad, I do like that they did have a separate listing. I think that they did make a good point at saying that you'd be responsible for completely maintaining and implementing their front-end interfaces. So what this means to me is that they could have a variety of interfaces. They're not even specifying what kind of technologies they use. They expect you to have quite a wide skill set coming in. So I think that they'd be able to find quite a decent front-end developer just demanding that. Because they're not saying you should know this framework. They're saying, okay, we're going to need you to do whatever we need to do front-end wise. I do like design and code reviews as long as code reviews make sense and you don't have someone who's never touched PHP viewing PHP. I think that documentation is completely key. Without good documentation, it's just hard to have a good solid code base. So that's super important. It's a good thing that they definitely put that out there, but that probably should be expected at any job you have. So I don't know how critical it is to put that on the job description. I think it would be better replaced by saying you should have experience in these fields. I know that we're focusing on what they did good here, but I think one thing that we left out of kind of what they did wrong was front end is a huge topic, and they didn't really expand on what knowledge and skill set you need. So moving on from that, I do like that they put knowledge and user experience methodologies as a plus. I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm assuming that means common strategies to deploy to your application in the user experience category. That's about all I really like about this list. Well, not list, about this job. Because aside from that, then they say, okay, we want you to know how to work on any stack if needed. I don't like that as them being a front-end engineer. I do think they did a couple things right, but the whole thing needs quite a bit of improvement.
Oh, nice. What about you, Robert?
I completely agree with Daniel. Like they're pretty much looking for like, I guess, a full stack web developer that can code review with other developers like that might be in PHP, Ruby, other frameworks that you might have no knowledge of. I mean, code reviewing is essential, but maybe they should I don't think that's the best idea to go out and have a front end developer be pairing with a Python developer. That just does not make sense to me. I mean, they can pair, but I don't think code reviewing would be necessary for that. You should bring in another Python developer to code review that code. That's
Oh, so more like an advisor, but maybe they don't contribute too much to the code, but they have such an understanding of it, and then the business, what the business is trying to do, that they can contribute with ideas, which are very valuable.
Exactly. Those are my thoughts on this. And maybe just be more specific about the job, because they're having a front end developer that literally has to be they don't really know what's coming. They have to be full stack, and maybe just if they offered more of a specific job to the developer, it'll be this, and right now they're doing that, this. You don't even know what's coming. I don't know. You don't really know what's coming for this job, but what I do like is, what do I like about this? I don't have anything to reference right now, but Daniel, how about you pull up that job listing?
Sure.
We reference some stuff. Okay. Maintain and implement our front-end interfaces. Yeah, that is key. A front-end developer should be the person, in my opinion, that maintains it, keeps the code up to date. This engineer will be the inaugural member of the Logix front-end team, maintaining and upgrading both client and internal tools. Yes, I completely agree with that. Conduct design and code reviews. See, that's like the part where I'm kind of, like, I just don't think that's necessary for a front-end developer because they're asking them to be full stack on everything. Like, if there's a Python developer, he should be able to code review with that developer. Like, I just don't see that as being the best idea. Like, you should have another Python expert come in and do a code review with them. So you work with product strategists and account managers, like, to define technological deliverables and timelines. I get it, but work. It's not really involving front end work, but like, that's strategy, I guess. So
Got it.
like
So one last thing, guys. What's funny is that sometimes we always make things harder on ourselves. You remember, Robert? We always say like the quickest path from point A to point B is a straight line, but then we throw stuff on that line that we have to trip over. Like making things overly complex and all of that stuff. Go to d3.js or d3.js. Look that up.
Yeah, I was looking at that last night. I love D3.
Oh yeah, of course. We love D3, man. We're actually implementing it on a Sensible project.
It's data-driven document.
Yeah, it took me a while to kind of skim away all of the billions of things that it can do and just make a single chart similar to the one that they have for Pure Logix. But let's go over to D3 if we can open the tab there.
It's like crazy how many there are. Like, I can't even begin to imagine.
Yeah. Hey, Daniel.
Yeah.
Can you open up the D3, do a search for that? Do you know about D3, Daniel? I know Robert does.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Each one of those is an individual graph, by the way.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah, it's really complex to start off with to kind of grok, but once you get across that barrier entry, like anything's possible as a display as far as reporting. Go to the one with go to something that looks like a map.
What is this?
Well, it looks like a globe.
This is D3?
Oh yeah, that's just one of the plot views that it has. Which one is a 2.5 dimensional space. So if you overlay a map onto it, you'll get a 3-dimensional like, which is where the 2.5 comes from. You're more just like adjusting with skew and sometimes shading. So there's a tool called Mudbox. So Daniel, you might not have known it, but I have a ton of experience as far as with computer-generated imagery in 3D. I use Autodesk 3D Studio Max, and I know a little bit of Maya and stuff like that. But that's a true 3D package. That's way more complex than any programming I've ever done, and I love it. I always tell people, I'm like, if you think programming's hard, try 3-dimensional. You have to know things like, like light shading and kinematics if you're doing animation, like how gravity works and and fluid dynamics. People get their PhD and stuff like that. So it's like, why aren't they visually displaying something like this? I mean, it's 2016. This looks pretty modern, right? And then if they use some package like this, then like somebody could really shave down a ton of time by just saying, "Hey, just give us the data points, and here's what we want to spit out." What are some other cool map charting graphic that they have? Daniel, you see anything that's kind of cool? The cool thing about this, Robert, is that these are just JSON points.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. That's very, very cool.
Oh, what's going on? Is this an animation?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this driven by something you're doing, Daniel?
Um, Animation.
Got it. Nice. Last thing, guys. Contractor versus employee. It's like, what if the work that they need done, like, so even on with Sensible, right? Like we bring, like Noel. Noel is a person that works short time, long term, Robert, because we just actually we just actually put an offer in front of Noel that he took, and he's working for Sensible actually now. So we hired Noel.
Yeah, I talked to him about that in person. That's very. Yeah, you were brought on to. You were brought on as CEO, and you hired well.
Of course, because you know people like even yourselves help. We help shield each other. Daniel's starting to get it too now. Is like, you know, if you have people to bounce ideas off of, your learning just increases like rapidly.
Yeah.
So you know, like take people like take like you Daniel, and you Robert, and I'll just be straight up. And one of the reasons why we're on this call too, because it's got to benefit all of us, right? You know, what if you guys have school and all of that, and plus you have time with the fam, right? Because your fam's pretty cool. At least I think so. You might not think so all the time,
Nah.
but you know, it's like, but if you know. I read the 4 Hour Work Week, Daniel, which is a great book, which talks about it's not about like just killing yourself with time, because that's the only thing we got. Like, look at Uncle Bob, Robert. You know,
Yeah.
Uncle Bob. Tell Daniel about like how that man makes his income.
This guy pretty much doesn't like. He barely. I don't. He doesn't code. Like he's not.
Yeah, because he's done enough. He's done like he's been coding since like the late '60s.
Been coding since the late '60s. This guy's been longer than we've all been alive, even longer than Tom's been coding. And this guy takes $1,000 an hour. What?
Go ahead, Robert. Sorry about that. We had an echo. Repeat.
Pretty much, this guy makes money by presenting at meetups and all of these events. Like he makes $1,000 an hour just by sharing his thoughts, because like people think his time is that valuable. Like his time is that valuable. Like he's like that's how he makes his money, by sharing his thoughts and ideas.
He doesn't code anymore?
I wouldn't say he doesn't code anymore, but that's how he makes his money. He makes $1,000 an hour from going to a meetup and present.
Yeah, I'd say he still codes, because remember, Robert, the video that we were watching, he was like, this is a Ruby app, or this is a Rails app that I wrote, last year, so he's still writing code, because when he was saying, look at how the framework, and now this is the flip side of using a framework. I won't say the downside, but the flip side is now everything's dependent on that thing in your freaking business. So he's like, look at how the Rails application just sticks its tentacles inside of your business logic like an octopus. He uses so many, like, I forgot what that's called, like the literary term when you give oh my gosh, it's like when you take something like watch the bear run like a sprinter. It's like that's like I don't quite know what it's called. But you get what I'm saying, though. It's like when the wind's blowing like a human. It's like you're taking in something that's not something and juxtaposing it next to something else. And so he does that really well, which makes him, he's like me. Like a lot of programmers are very introverted. That's where the communication side thing happens. Is like you get programmers off writing code for 4 days, and they're down there in the cave somewhere, and nobody knows what the hell they're building. But then there's the ones that can like really talk to people, which I used to say I'm a talkative programmer, but that's a good thing, because then you can go and give presentations, you can teach other people, you can get paid like very handsomely. So that's what he does. I'd say he writes code, but he more so goes around and, would you say, Robert, like he kind of gives well, he influences more people, So it's like that's the cool thing about the dev channel, right? Is that I can take ideas, and Robert can take ideas, and Daniel can take ideas, and then not only can you implement them, but you can influence like vast amounts of people too. I mean, that's the point of books, right? But that's just not as real time as Slack.
I see. Like around with that Ruby thing, like a Rails app, that's right, because once you create a Rails app, your app is so dependent on it, like that's kind of like where Tom's been bringing us. Like he's like, look, I mean, you can depend on the request library all day, but is it really gonna have all the features you need over time? Now that we have our wrapper around everything, if we need to add our own custom features, why would we go open up a new branch and on request library? We don't even have to contribute code to them. We can we have our own wrapper around it, and we can include whatever the hell we want. Soon we're gonna need that, we're gonna need proxy integration for that wrapper. It's just one lot. We have a single code base to eat at. Whenever we need something changed, we don't have to go into all the files and change it. That's why you don't even need to throw a method .proxy on it. We can just specify that in the wrapper, I guess. That's all we need.
Nice, guys. So wrap it up with the yes or no question. Is this something that you boys would be interested in?
I mean, yeah, man.
Say, of course they're putting out a listing for one job, doesn't necessarily mean, like we talked about before, doesn't mean that the work can't be done by, more than one person, as far as budget ranges and stuff like that. That's where the fun part comes in. That's a negotiation, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. Good opportunity.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And there's times too that there'll be projects coming up along our way, guys, that both of you will be interested in. You'll be able to help each other out, 'cause that's efficient. Because you can beat each other up in underneath your own roof. But then there's times when you work on things where it's Daniel's working on something and Robert's working on something, and that's cool. That's hella cool. Because I know that's a direction that as long as overall we all get what we need, then that's what really matters. And what'll be really cool is you guys will have some nice big displays to hack on coming up here next week. So.
Sean, Robert, no. We're thinking about setting up an office in our house, pulling our rooms together and just setting up a bunch of desks, computers, and everything. Just setting up just a workspace together.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. And here's why. That'll be awesome. Here's why. Because Robert, this is what you tell your father hey, guess what? Now we can actually write off this portion of the house every single year because we use that for personal office space. And that's fact. That's fact. So what that means is, say something costs $2, and then you go and you get something say you get you got a little army toy guy. You got a little house for him, and it's cost $2. Say that army toy guy you sets up a space in the corner. You have to have a partition, so it can't be just a studio. Because with a studio, it's assumed that the whole space is living and working space. With the home office, it has to be some sort of partition space, so it doesn't have to be a full room. It can be one of those Japanese shoji doors or something like that. And then you take that portion and you write off that portion. So say it's 50% for our little army guy. The army guy had to make $3 and got taxed $1 in order to have $2 to get the space. But if the army guy takes 50% of that space and says, this is my office space where I do work, he can write that off, meaning that not that he's getting it for free, but now he's only got to make $2.50 instead of $3 because he doesn't have to pay tax on the 50 cents tax on that dollar.
I see.
Actually, Daniel, why don't you throw up too there do a search for business or home office write-off. If you can share your screen here real briefly, and then we'll wrap this up, guys, because our Pomodoro just finished.
I still got to do that. Sensible. I've just been busy. I had a 4-hour rest day this week.
Yeah, dude, then that's perfectly fine. You didn't stop Sensible at all, and please, man, we're good to go, man. And it's whatever the timing is, just as long as there's no pain.
Alright, got it, bro.
including Robert. Oh yeah, now go back to the to Google's because there's one that's coming directly from the site from like the government. Can you go to Google and search it up? Yeah. Wait a minute. IRS.gov, of course. Home office deduction. That's what they call it. So we got to call it what they call it. If you use part of your home or business, you may be able to deduct expenses for the business use of your home. The home office deduction is available for homeowners and renters and applies to all types of homes. Where is it? Requirements. Requirements. There are two basic requirements, period. Regular and exclusive use. You must regularly use part of your home exclusively for conducting business. For example, if you use an extra room to run your business, you can take a home office deduction for that extra room. That's the percentage. You must show that you use your home office as your principal place of business. Yeah, so it's really that kind of it's kind of difficult to like have like a main office space and do a home office deduction. That's when it's a little tighter because they're just like, come on, you have this big huge office and you mean to tell me that you run your entire house as an office too? No way, man.
Yeah.
So the little army guy can't write off all $2 for that one, So like so in New York, I have a studio, or actually in Jersey City, I have a studio, and that actually can all be written off because it's a studio, right? So that's the point of a studio. I live there sometimes, work there, just like how artists do that paint and stuff like that. Like they paint and then they fall asleep on the floor and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Right. So that's cool, guys. So you guys are interested. That's mad cool. And I think that we the best part about it is that it's a new budding business, and we were able to contribute something. No matter how far where that business goes, whether we engage with them or not, and I'll put you on the line with Alejandro because I'm sure he'll want to meet you guys too, just to even say what's up. Um, and to say thank you even, because we're spending our time, we could be doing whatever, but we're contributing to the business, and the flip side of that is that may open up doors and opportunities to us. It already has, because then we're sitting there looking at it. We were actually one of the first people to even get the link to be posted out.
Awesome, Rashawn. I appreciate that opportunity. That's great. Wow.
Yeah, fellas. Hold on. So that's about it for that.